Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the number one show to bring you all things Club America in English, from tactical analysis
Pelota para la banda izquierda.
to player updates. We've got you covered on all the latest news on Las Águilas. Now, let's start the show. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast.
You guys hear that? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. La 14, tenemos la 14. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. America is campeón. Apertura 2023 champions after taking down Tigres in a, well, let's say a well-contested second leg up to about the 80th something minute of the match. And, we'll sit down and we'll talk and we'll kind of break down everything that happened at the Estadio Azteca, and we'll get you guys going up and set. I know everyone's excited, everyone's ecstatic, and everyone is just absolutely buzzing with joy, even though it's been well over 48 hours since America's lifted the 14th. But let's get right into it. Joining me, of course, it is none other than the man who was on the ground himself, witnessing America lift the trophy, Christian Rosendo, from New York to Mexico City, back to New York. My friend, how are you?
Tired. I'm still tired from that trip. So when because our flight was at 7 a.m. on Monday. So after the game, we did every celebration. So I slept like 2 hours maybe. And then I had my flight back to New York, which was another 5 hours. But then we got delayed at the airport for another 2 hours. So, and then I had to go back to work, and then, yeah, it's all a big mess. I'm still trying to recover a little bit. But listen, that experience was surreal. I still probably can't believe I was there. Just every single, from the time I walked onto the whole grounds of the Estadio Azteca to the time I went in the game and everything just felt so, I couldn't believe it. And I'm glad I got to do it next to my father, who was the one who introduced me to this whole thing in the first place. So that was a special moment, and above all, I mean, we won La 14 after 5 years. We finally got another one, and this one feels good. This one feels good for sure.
This one will be extra special to a lot of us, especially you, Christian, who witnessed something just absolutely amazing, just crazy, absolutely amazing. Joining me though is a man who's been to the Estadio Azteca a couple of times already and is here to tell us what happened on his side of the spectrum over in Anaheim. It is none other than my good friend here, Chris Rivera. Chris, how are you, my friend?
Perfect, brother. We ended the year perfect. I can't ask for anything more, I mean, there's nothing left for us, and just super happy. I tweeted out, it doesn't matter how life is. America's always there to make everything perfect for me, and I'm sure you guys relate, and I'm sure the listeners relate too.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, we're still all on a high. Like, it's amazing and ecstatic. And it felt so, just like you finally saw and completed like this mythical legend, the 14th, right? It had been looming over us for I don't know how long, that it I don't know. It was one of those things where you just felt.
I think 3 years ago we started to become this dominant team that everyone thought that we were going to win every single year, or we had the best possibilities of winning every single year. And then unfortunately, just every single year, something had to happen.
Yeah, heartbreak after heartbreak.
It would trigger me when they said we were Cruz Azul.
Yeah.
I would trigger me so, for obvious reasons, bro, but I would be like, we need to win. We need to, even the Leagues Cup to a point, I was just like, let's win this. I remember I even saying like, we need to start with something, and we didn't win that, but we won the most important one, right? Which is the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into that. Ricardo saying, America es campeón. Luis saying, campeón, ole, ole, ole. just basically capping it off right there. We are champions, my friends. Yes, we are. Everyone is just absolutely ecstatic. I'd love seeing Twitter at the end of the final whistle whenever we ended up lifting the trophy. It was just amazing. Memes after memes, just great videos after videos. Christian, we saw videos from you. We saw people from all over the globe that were just sharing their reactions, their celebrations, and then of course the what you're about to tell us shortly, the amazing kind of rally that was at the Angel, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say, man. And well, I'm gonna give you the floor, seeing as how we do have you for a limited time today. So just talk to me about just your general reaction from the moment you stepped onto the grounds, like you mentioned, to the point where you ended up going to celebrate at the Angel. Just talk to me about all of that, your thoughts, your opinions, the game, all
Of
of it.
course. So obviously, when I first got there, I got there pretty early, probably maybe like 4 hours prior to the game. So just trying to soak up everything. Really, obviously, it was my first time at the Azteca too, so I was still trying to like experience everything, how everything was around game day, and I think everything just felt so much more special because it was a final, right? But there was Porras there already from like 5 hours ago, just chanting their lungs out. There's like little sections here, little sections just chanting away. Everyone's just so excited about the game. So after a little bit of partying beforehand, we go inside the stadium, right? And like I said, this was my first time, so I didn't know what to expect going inside. Just being outside, the stadium looks huge. It's like it's something I've never really seen here in the States, and I've been to plenty of stadiums in the United States, so it was something completely different. So where I was sitting in the 100 section, like on the bottom bowl, I guess you would say. So the way to access that, you have to go like downstairs and like into like a little tunnel. And in that little tunnel, you felt like the crowd's getting a little bit louder and louder every time you step forward. And as soon as you go at the end of the tunnel, you have to walk up some steps. And when you walk up the steps, then you see the whole stadium just like in front of you. Because I was behind the net or one of the nets. And then so I just walked up and I saw the whole thing. And I like froze for like a quick second. I was like, damn, like this really can't be real. Like I'm actually here. And then obviously the whole pregame nerds, everything. Talking to my father. I went with a couple of my friends too. We are all just chatting it up, see how tonight's gonna go. Then obviously the whole pregame celebrations, the anthem, everything's leading up to the game. You saw the stadium get a little bit fuller and fuller by the hour. And it's like it was impressive. It was impressive how loud that whole stadium could get even before the game started. It was just chant after chant after chant. I'm surprised that I don't think I had a voice by halftime. Basically, at that point, um, it was something truly special. The game started, and then all the nerves just like kind of just like went away because now it's game time. Now we have to lock in. This is it. We have 90 minutes to go to see if we're going to become champions. I did not come all the way from New York and spend that much money to not see us become champions, right? Um, so yeah, as the game was going on, I did feel like we started a little slow. I don't think that we were on our best game just yet. A couple of Tigres chances did scare me a little bit, like the Guignac chance, the Carioca chance, the one that hit off the post. And it just seemed like Tigres was doing an okay job of handling us, and we didn't really get that much chances, that much pressure at them. You do see the hype every time we were on a counter. Literally, everyone just starts standing up. Like no one wanted to be on their seats. So and on that Diego Valdez chance where Quinones received it, crosses to Valdez, and then Nahuel makes a very impressive stop. I really thought that was the moment right there where we're gonna see the whole Azteca explode. Unfortunately, that wasn't that, but it was just cool to see everyone kind of like gas for a little bit, and then like relieve like a whole like, oh man, like that didn't go in. So then halftime hits, and we're just like, I mean, no team really is doing danger to each other. Like we're kind of just trading blows a little bit here and there. You throw a punch, I'll throw a little punch here. Nothing to worry about that much at that moment. And they kind of continued throughout the whole second half. I think we did for a little bit better second half. I think we were more settled in. But it wasn't until, like you said, that red card, where everything just changed. Like the whole demeanor, the whole stadium just like didn't stop, wasn't loud, wasn't quiet for a single second after that red card happened. Um, and I think from the red card on, I think Tigres didn't have a chance. I think we were just superior in all fronts. The next man will do that to you, right? We knew how to take good advantage of that. I really wish we could have ended it in 90. But and Valdez had a chance at the end, right? And Nahuel did save again. So I really thought that was the moment right there. And then the 90 minutes end, and we're a little disappointed because we did have like 10, 15 minutes with the extra man. I really think we could have ended it there. But we go into extra time and we're just talking, everyone around the section. We're just like, we're not gonna lose this, right? Because we're up a man. We have everything in our favor. There's just no way we can lose this, right? And extra time starts, and I consider myself very, very, very privileged. And even though I didn't get the goal because the goal happened right in front of me because I was behind that net, you kind of just saw the whole play just coming together. And Fidalgo crossed it. I saw it trickle over the box, and I saw it missed a couple of players, Lena Quinones. And then I was like, oh my God, this is it right here. He missed the first chance, and he made the second one, and the whole stadium went bonkers. Like that was impressive. I think I got pushed around a couple of times. I think I felt once actually because of all the excitement, everyone pushing around each other. Obviously, the beers were flying everywhere. Like it was that moment right there. That's something I'll never forget. And like I said, I'm disappointed I didn't get the whole goal in my video, but at least I got the afterwards rowdiness and celebrations, and that was cool. So I'll have that to cherish forever. And then the other two goals I did get pretty well. The Richard Sanchez goal, again, just euphoric, everyone. And then when Cabecita scored, everyone just started chanting that they were the champions. And Lucef La Catorce finally comes home. Just the whole experience was surreal. It was amazing. And if I never go back, it's okay because I think I lived the one moment that I wanted to live for my whole life. I wanted to do this since like maybe 2 years ago, and I'm grateful that I got the chance and the opportunity to go. So if anyone ever gets a chance in the future, just take it. Because you'll never know when another opportunity that will ever happen again. I don't think I'll ever have that opportunity again. But just for me to live it and we won, it was truly special.
Like Chris told you in the group chat, we live to live, and it was exceptional, really, to hear your side of the story. And honestly, just to the whole time that I was watching the game and sitting there, I was like, wow, Christian's there right now watching this live. And I was like, I know we were watching it on VIX. I'm like, I know I'm like 10 seconds behind. So Christian's probably like, like something's going down and he knows it ahead of all of us.
Like the way you guys saw the Quinones celebration and like the whole camera angle and everything just pointing with all like security guards around them. Like I thought that shot was pretty cool. But the way it felt on TV, it's the same way you felt it in the stadium. Like everyone was like just ecstatic. It was euphoric. It was simply amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing. And before we have to have you wrap it up here, before you have to head on out, talk to me about the celebration afterwards, after the 14th, and then in the Angel.
Yeah, so that was a little bit tricky to get to actually, because so when the game ended, obviously we didn't want to leave right away to this from the stadium because we just go and encounter massive traffic. So we stayed. We watched the team lift the cup. Unfortunately, they didn't come around to our side to kind of just say hi to us or whatever, or celebrate with us. They were more on the other side. And we had just left, right? Because we wanted to go to the celebration. So it took us about an hour to get a taxi or an Uber to El Angel. And when we finally got it, they said that they couldn't even make it to the Angel because streets were blocked off already. So we had to get maybe 2 miles from the Angel. So they had to drop us off somewhere, and then we had to walk. But the cool thing about that, though, is that even from 4 miles from the Angel, there was people walking, large crowds just walking together to El Angel. So we were just like, let's just walk, let's just enjoy the moment, right? So you're walking, you're hearing little chants here, little chants there, people selling merch there, people selling crowns over there. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's just enjoying themselves. And then when you got closer and closer, you saw just a huge crowd just start forming. And honestly, you could honestly get lost. If you attempted to cross the street, it was like a mission impossible just because of how many people were just in between the sidewalks, and it was very, 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 very popular. Everyone on top of each other. I don't know how anyone could breathe, but everyone was just all squished together, just chanting our lungs away. Smoke, flags, firecrackers, everything was just going off. I think it was everything I wished for. Everything that I've seen on TV and in videos from previous celebrations. It was everything like that. And like I said, I thankfully I have videos to go by and remember it again. But like I said, though, it's something you only could live so many little times in your life. And if you have the chance to go, I would say just do it. Just don't hesitate and just go for it, because you'll never regret it.
Absolutely. Well, it's been amazing to hear your side of the story, Christian. Amazing. Super glad that you were down there, be able to, see the game live, talk about it here on the pod, and you know what? Just cheers to you, my friend, and cheers to America.
What did you do?
And it was basically his birthday too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was a great birthday. So yeah, happy birthday to you as well, Christian. It was your birthday yesterday.
Thank you. Yes, like I said, a surreal moment, one of the best experiences of my lifetime, and I'll never forget it.
Absolutely. Well, there you guys.
I did cry. Yes, I did cry. Yes.
You have to.
After the Richard goal, I think that's when a couple of tears started letting out. Because at that point, I think there was no.
You knew
was going to score three goals on us, right? It just didn't seem possible. So yeah, that was that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear that a lot of people were crying in the stadium.
Yeah,
like everywhere you looked, everyone was crying.
They were actually like an old, like kind of like an older man, like right, like near us, and he was like he had like a cane, right? So like everyone was like trying to help him out, in and out, like we needed to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. So he sat down, and then when Cabecita scored the goal, he just started bawling, right? And we were all just celebrating with him too, letting him feel the moment. But like I said, it was amazing though, amazing.
Ricardo saying here, Chris el crybaby, but that's what Sagrado Americanismo provokes.
If you were there, you probably do the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think we all would have. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Christian. I'm not gonna keep you any longer. I know you got some other things to get to, but thank you for taking the time to come talk to us and share your experience at the Estadio Azteca lifting the 14th. So thank you again, man. Again, happy birthday. Go enjoy yourself and continue to celebrate.
Of course, brother. We're going for the 15th. That's next.
There you go. The 15th.
Too. Don't forget the 8. Don't forget the 8.
Which hot take? I think that's more important, but we'll get to that in another podcast.
Of course, absolutely. All right, Christian.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you. All right, Chris. Well, I mean, absolutely amazing stuff from Christian right there. Was able to go there. When he told us he was potentially going to go, and then we saw how difficult. We didn't ask him how he got tickets. Still to this day, no one knows how he got them. But still, it was almost impossible to get them. And so the fact that he was able to go, he showed us like Friday morning as he was departing. I was just ecstatic for him. Super, super happy that he was able to go down there and witness it. And so, yeah. Well, I guess the only one thing left to do, Chris, is talk about the game itself and recap it. I mean, coming into this one, nerves were absolutely high. Tension was building. I honestly was stress eating like 3 hours before the game kicked off. I could not put like anything down. I was just absolutely a mess. The first leg was, I guess, decent. I think America could have walked away with a victory at the Volcan. I didn't see Tigres come out and pull a lot of punches. Honestly, I thought they looked better in the second leg rather than in the first leg, which is crazy because I thought that they were going to come out and try to win the game at the Volcan and try to get the most advantage coming into the Azteca. How were you feeling coming into this game knowing that the first leg ended up 1-1?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, I predicted the 1-1 over there, and I said 3-0 over here. So for me, it was more of a this team, Tigres, yes, it's a very experienced team, but they're a very emotional team. And I felt we saw that in this game. Yes, it was a very even game, right? But for me, I just looked at it like, okay, what is one thing that this team knows how to do? And that's score goals. For me, if we were able to create, it was going to happen. Like that was the issue kind of in this Liguilla, kind of, where you saw them not really create, not really go forward. You saw them have a lot of these midfield battles. So for me, it was just the moment we get inside the box, someone's going to score. I don't know if my 3-0 was going to happen, but I did think Quiñones was going to have his chances because he always has his chances. Not that Henry Martin was going to have a really good matchup against Diego Reyes, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Pizarro, right? Who was the other center back?
Correct. Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, the matchup is gonna the difficult thing for us is gonna be the midfield. And I think in the first leg, it wasn't necessarily that we were superior, because I don't know if you remember in the first leg, we started off very off. Like I thought they were pressuring us a lot more, and then we got momentum out of that. So for me, I thought we need Fidalgo, we need Jonah to really wake up, and heavily criticized Sendejas, right? Who would lose the ball, but he would recover it a lot too. And I thought Sendejas had an amazing first half.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting run of affairs here for America. I mean, I'll give this to Tigres. They planted themselves perfectly well in the midfield. They cut all of the oxygen to Fidalgo. I mean, absolutely derailed him, and we was not the creative midfielder that we needed him to be. And to be honest, it's difficult when your shining player like that is a little bit handicapped. Jonah's still doing kind of the dirty work in the midfield, kind of trying to plug in that gap in between the midfield and the defense. So I thought he was okay. I think his game was just as orchestrated as it needed to be. The one player that did absolutely just disappoint me in both legs was Diego Valdez. I completely was in shock to think he had just had one of the best liguillas, and then he comes out and plays this type of game in the finals. I mean, had a clear cut chance in the first leg, had a clear cut chance in the second leg. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it was the moment, but that number 10 jersey was extremely heavy on him, and he was shocking, to be honest. It's absolutely shocking. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, you thought, okay, as the game progressed, it felt like your words kept ringing more and more in my head that this was the perfect matchup for them as far as stylistically to make things complicated for us, because you saw the complications, right? You mentioned Sendejas had a hard time going up in that avenue. I think it was also because Miguel Ayun couldn't go all the way as high because his tracking wasn't going to be the best. So we were kind of hinged right there on the right hand side. The left hand side, it was so much that Quinones could do. So you kind of felt like there was kind of no real answer for America, but you knew that this team was more than capable. And even though we weren't having our best game in either leg, it felt like this America side just needed a little bit of a nudge in order to wake up. It felt like, okay, they're not out of second gear. It feels like they're gone to first, second, but no one's really hit it to third or fourth yet.
Yeah, and I think Jardine adjusted, right? Like right away, once you put Kevin Alvarez in, you saw the difference in that. You see a guy that, I mean, I don't really remember who was on during that time, but was it Lainez or Herrera, or was it Quinones, Luis Quinones? You remember? I don't remember the subs when exactly they happened, but point is, like, you see the 1v1s, right? You saw Kevin Alvarez just completely have a better game than, and it was like you said, we needed to just switch things up. Luckily for us, we did that, and a lot of people are going to be highlighting the red card. I honestly think we were getting closer to goal even before that red card.
Yeah, I thought we were knocking on the door a lot more too. It just has so happened that the red card happened. Look, now what was on his night? Let's not kid. He had some really good saves, right? Aside from everything that he did, he was the reason why Tigres was still in it, just as much as Malagon was the reason why we were still in it as well. If it wasn't for that Gignac save, so I mean, it felt like exactly how Christian was saying. No team was truly trying to kind of risk anything. It felt like, in a sense, in a boxing match, you were just kind of jabbing to see, okay, you gonna take it? I'm gonna take it. No, you're gonna. It just felt like a back and forth. Like, okay, who's willing to take one foot off the gas pedal? Who's willing to kind of push it down and press it all the way? I mean, it was difficult. It was difficult to watch, but at the end of the day, you're right. I do feel like in the second half, we presented ourselves a little bit more better and a little bit more assertive. It just that final third pass was lacking, absolutely lacking. And then yeah, of course, the red card happens. It helps, and I mean, a lot of people want to paint it as this game is then tarnished by that red card, but to be honest, it is what it is. It's not America's fault that the what was his name, Fulgencio, or
Yeah, you saw the pictures when he was a kid.
Yeah, with Piojo as an Americanista. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, look, and then, oh my God, it's all of Twitter was just everyone that was not an Americanista saying that this was an absolute robo, that it was not a red card, that it
No.
was a slap, that it should have been a yellow. And my thing to them is, look, you just read in the rule book. Yes, I granted he did not elbow him, but if you check that play, he swings that arm like he doesn't. He's not like, hey, like like just kind
Twice.
of forcing it back and forth, but
Yeah.
he just absolutely lets it go. Like he swings it, and with every intention of hitting him, whether it's contact in the
Twice. He did it
face, in the
twice.
neck, exactly, yeah. There was an aggression, whether it was closed fisted, open handed, elbow, hand, whatever you want to call it, but an aggression is aggression. And I was like, okay, good, it's a red card. Then the red referee went to VAR, and I was like, no, you can't be kidding me. You cannot tell me they're gonna pull this back and give him a yellow. And then the ref gave him a red, which I was absolutely shocked. I was like, they're calling this back, so there's
Yeah.
a reason they're making him look for it. So I'm just thinking he's gonna call this back, and I was like, no. But he pulled the red card again. He's like, boom, you're out.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you felt a little bit of sigh of relief. It wasn't like necessarily scoring a goal, but it was kind of like, okay. And Luis saying, but Quinones should have gotten yellows, what they say as well, just because of the aggravation, I guess, because he kind of forced him into that situation. But really, honestly, it's just a football play. If you look at it, it's
Yeah,
a typical
yeah.
soccer player. It's just both players kind of tugging away at each other, and these are some of these just kind of end up like, okay, the ball goes out for a throw, and then both players just kind of walk away from that situation. The Tigres player decided to throw and slap Quinones.
And he pokes his eye. I mean, it was all red too. I mean, so
Mhm.
it adds to the whole thing that the ref probably saw the eye and said, let me see if it's intentional. Let's see, it could be an accident, but he throws it like 2 or 3 times and he hits him pretty hard. And then he acts like he got hurt, and it's like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Quinones does sell it very well. He does
Oh,
sell it
yeah.
because there's a point of contact and there's like a 2-second delay for him to just put the dramatics
Yeah.
on. But regardless, an aggression is an aggression, regardless of how Quinones takes it, right? He could have taken it as a champ and just kind of left it at that, but it's still an aggression. An aggression should have still left to a red card. Just because Quinones fell and kind of did a little bit of theatrics doesn't take away from the fact that this is an actual foul that warranted a red card. So that's kind of where we're at in that situation. And cool, it is what it is, and whatever.
Even then, I thought we were gonna score either way because the game, the momentum was changing, and I mean, obviously we can't say what was gonna happen, but for me, I just think like those subs that Tigres did was actually hurting them, and I thought that it was gonna make things easier for us to score. And you eventually see, the Quiñones goal, right? You eventually see those plays being created, but like I said, you put in Kevin Alvarez and you start to see a difference. You put in Cabecita, you start to see a difference. So, I mean, for me, nothing really changed. Just an excuse that people want to use, but even then, like, it's not enough for me to be taking those crying serious.
Yeah, and it's like Fidel, our good friend Fidel Martinez, shout out to him, says the goal was coming anyways. And it's kind of alluding to what you were saying, Chris, right? Eventually, it was coming. You mentioned how those substitutions for Tigres kind of dwindled their attacking opposition, which was true. I mean, you saw Linus and Cordova come out, and you kind of thought, interesting. I think we could take advantage of this. And we did. And I'm being honest, completely honest, I thought we were going to take out Diego Valdez. I was rooting for it. I thought, okay, you bring in Cabecitas, you take out Diego. I was surprised that he took out Sendejas just because
Yeah, same here.
him and Kevin
The ball
worked so
recovery.
perfectly well on that right-hand side. And you thought it was just going to be a natural like for like. If he does leave, it was going to be for Leo Suarez. But no, he kind of threw in the curveball. And actually, which is, I mean, I guess a genius move and a genius plan from Jardine, because it is Quinones who is on that right-hand side when the goal
Yep.
happens because of that substitution. So, touche. My hat's off to you, Jardine. I don't know how you say that in Portuguese, but I'm sure I'll Google that later. But yeah, it comes out and it works out. And like you mentioned, right, with the substitutions, you felt like things were going to kind of kick into high gear. They eventually did. I think it was unfortunate of the red card because it kind of dwindled America's attacking premise because it with everyone going on, arguing, the time that was wasted. You felt like after the game started to go on and again, even though, how much was it? Like 9 minutes at a time or 7? It was in between one of those two numbers.
It was 9.
It was 9.
It was 9. I think it was.
And so you felt like, okay, it was like, okay, now we got to build up and get that traction again. And so still, it was interesting to see. It was interesting to see how it ended up playing out. And I guess at the end of the day, absolutely worked out. I think we all felt comfortable coming into the second. I mean, not to the second half, to the extra time, to the first half of the extra time. We thought, okay, you kind of continue how you finish, right? Strong, keep knocking on the door. And before you knew it, I mean, Quiñones had himself the goal.
I'll be honest with you though, I didn't like the Chava Reyes retard sub when it happened. I was like, oh, this is where these guys are gonna take advantage of that. But luckily for us, it didn't happen, But when it happened, I just said, okay, he's gonna get. And you did see some counterattacks that Tigres had where they had a lot of space, but these didn't have the legs for it. So good for us. We took advantage of that. There's no complaints, man. I think it's interesting where we go on from here, right? Because I mean, anytime we win a league, it doesn't stop there. We start winning more championships, right? And that's where it's interesting because I do think there is weaknesses in the team. So it's interesting how we're gonna build off of this. But I'm excited, man. Like not to get too ahead, but I'm very excited with obviously winning the 14th and where we're gonna go from this.
I think we mentioned it a while back, like maybe like a month ago in the podcast. We said how exciting is this? I think it was after the Monterrey game. We were like, how exciting is it that we're finally seeing this America fire in all cylinders, and we're still yet to see Diego Valdez, Henry Martin, and Quiñones kind of mix together and mesh and see how this was all going to work out in the starting 11. And now that you saw it and you saw it in action in very intense, high pressure games, not talking about a league situation, not talking about a CONCACAF champion, but in a situation where these players are pressed for time and to get a result, and you see it, for the most part, it worked out and worked in our favor, right? Obviously, we get the 14th. So now you look at it and you say, yeah, there's optimism going into this, because we'll talk about it. Maybe not necessarily this podcast. Maybe when we get back from our break and start of the new year, we'll talk about the importance of what this CONCACAF Champions League is going to be for America and the importance of winning this one. Absolutely winning this one, which I will come on the record and say that has to be the priority for the season. But then you look at the fact that, I don't expect America to have a huge winter transfer window. I don't expect a lot of players to leave. I know there's a lot of rumors going on and around, but I don't think that they're going to shake up this team just so much come January. Now, do I expect a big summer transfer window for America? Yes, I expect us to lose a couple of good players. That is just a given. There's a couple of players that are on the European radar. We'll talk about those names whenever we get to the summer transfer window and whenever things happen. But for now, I think this is a good America to have and build a solid base for Jardine, for him to make his team. And you have everything to make a dynasty out of this team, to continue go on and win leagues, win records. I mean, just absolutely amazing, the opportunity that has been presented to you, because really you have players that are at a very good age, players that are at their prime, and a situation where you're finally financially getting better to where you can start attracting bigger names, better players, and so ultimately building a much better team. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the game, about the 14. Who was your player? I forget, Chris. Who was your player you said to watch for the Liguilla, for not for Liguilla, for this game?
I said Fidalgo, but I said because I felt like if he because you heard it throughout the year or the seasons, right? That Fidalgo needs to be the guy that ends up being our next legend, our next referente, our next just someone that leaves a print in this team, right? Art. So for me, I just looked at it, Fidalgo last season, he makes that mistake, I need him to do something. I need him to be very key. I need him to be a leader. And I think that's exactly what we saw. Maybe not the best of his games, right? But I did see him always fighting for the ball, and maybe from just because I don't know if I don't know if it was the first leg or the second leg. There was a shot that he missed horribly. Like that's the only complaint that I have from him.
It was the second leg.
Yeah, so like I just wish he worked on his shooting, but other than that, like there's no complaint for me. Like I'm happy, really, really happy that he ended up winning this title, and he even said it. Beautiful quote, they told him once that losing in America is one of the worst feelings ever, but when you win, it's the greatest feeling ever. And I think as a fan, we could all relate. I don't know I remember being in school, right? America gets eliminated or loses a Clásico, and everyone's coming at me. Yeah. But when America wins, everyone's hiding, and no other team in Mexico relates to that, in my opinion, right? Because our rivals are very fair weather fans, I'm not afraid to say that. So for me, it's just like, it is like when we lose, it's the worst day ever. But when we win, we're in heaven, bro. Like, it's the best thing ever. And I'm sure, perfect from Fidalgo for saying that.
No, yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, we're a testament of that because we're living in the moment, and you see that still, like I mentioned, well over 48 hours, and you definitely still feel the hype, the emotion, the satisfaction that Chin gave you. Ricardo saying Chris got bullied by a Chi hermano.
I never got bullied, brother. That was not my point.
But hey, specifically talking about players, mine was Quiñones, although the one I was originally going to say, I was in between Quiñones and Malagón, actually. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because Ricardo's saying, give Malagón his credit, Ivan. If it was the Mexican sideshow Bob, you would have said he played like prime Oliver Kahn / Buffon. I think Ricardo has a hatred towards Ochoa, which means I'm sure he has a hatred towards me. But no, look, all credits to Malagón. Absolutely was detrimental, if not the most crucial player in the first half to make sure that America lifted the trophy. I will say this, though. I was very upset at him in the first leg because that goal that we conceded, he could have done much better in the way that he parried the ball and also in the goal that, he's a short goalkeeper. Let's be honest. So sometimes you feel Mexicans, like you should get to some things. And yeah, no, of course, Mexicans. But Mexicans. Yeah. No, but I mean, ultimately, I have nothing but praise for Malagón. I think I even mentioned it last season too. He comes in with high expectations after, midway through the season because Tano didn't want to give him the starting spot because he wanted to give it to Oscar Jimenez, who was flopping game after game after game. Comes in, does an amazing job. I don't think it was any of his fault the way that we got eliminated against Chivas, but then he comes out, continues to have a solid season. He had some mistakes, mind you not, but shows that he has determination. And I think what really helped him was the game against Honduras in the Estadio Azteca. I think that really catapulted his confidence high through the roof. Yeah. Which is what we needed, which is absolutely what we needed. And you saw that in these games where he made some amazing saves. And in the final, I think that save will go down in history as one of the best for what he did. It might get lost in translation throughout the years, but anyone who watches that game will always know and will always remember Malagón for what he did in that incident, in that moment. Because it's not easy. When you have a player like Gignac, who's as decorated and as prolific and as amazing of a player as he is in front of you, and to block that header, which is not an easy one by any means necessary, again, all credits to him and job well done in my eyes. And you guys know how strickler I am of a goalkeeper.
Do you put this save right next to Adolfo Rios save? Or
no, that one, Adolfo Rios is higher in that sense.
But is it in the
that
same
one has
realm?
A lot more weight.
Yes,
it could be. The argument could be there. I think as far as historic saves go for America in finals, the Celada one has to be the very one on top because it's the final versus Chivas, la final del siglo. Then I think it probably is Adolfo Rios, just because you're going in extra time already. It's golden goal. Golden goal. It's just that save alone is a goal worth just as much as the Celada one was. So But Malagones is up there as well, next to the one that Marchesín did as well against Cruz Azul. So again, very good job right there. But let's talk about the player that I actually picked for this final, and it was Quiñones. And Chris, I went back and listened to some of the older podcasts. I had said I was gonna get Quiñones tattooed on me if he had scored a hat trick in the final. So I was very happy that he only limited himself to one. But still, could have had himself a hat trick if he didn't miss as many times as he did. Again, that refinery is what kills me. And I know all of you felt my pain when he missed that header in front of goal with no goalkeeper.
I thought it was offside at first until someone said no, and then I look at it and Henry's actually in front of him, so it can't be offside.
No, it would not. It would have counted.
Yep, and I was just honestly, bro. I don't know. I compared it to Narciso Mina right away. I think it's just we're haunted by that final against Leon.
Yeah, no, of course. And you know what the funny thing is?
Like this guy.
I wasn't even sitting down watching the game at that point. I actually had to use the restroom, and I just heard from the restroom like, oh, like obviously I knew it wasn't a goal, but it was a miss. And they're like, though, like you just missed it and this and that. And I was like, as soon as it hit Quiñones, I was like, you know what? I'm glad I wasn't here for this, because I would have been absurd. I just would have been super upset that. But yeah. But ultimately, look, his goal comes in like seconds into the extra time, right? He misses that, scores it. Just the place goes bonkers, like Christian mentioned. I was at my padrino's house watching it with my dad, my son, a couple of my cousins, so a couple of my uncles. So it was cool. It was great. It was amazing. We all jumped up. My son actually started crying. Everyone jumped and celebrated. I jumped with him, and so he was. It was a very scary day for him, but but he'll get used to it as the years go by. He'll get used to it. So yeah, and I think in that moment, we didn't want to say it, but I think we all thought it. It was like, all right, it's ours. We kind of felt, okay, we got the goal that we needed. It's ours. And then the moment that solidified it all was when Nahuel Guzman got the red card. I think in that moment, you're thinking 9 men, different goalkeeper, already a goal up. It's ours. It has to be ours. Yeah. It is ours. Yeah. And I think the team started playing like that. Right, I think the team slowly but surely just started being a little bit more lackadaisical. They kind of knew. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah,
they gave up. They didn't have a soul in them anymore. It was very similar to our elimination last year, where Fidalgo will rescore, right, Valdez, and then Fidalgo gets a red card, and we just knew what was coming. We were hoping, we were just wrong, right? And that's how it felt. And the stadium knew. The stadium was loud, bro. The one thing I was gonna ask Christian, like I don't know when exactly he went in, but when they were doing the pre-show, like it was super loud, and I'm just like, bro, that's the atmosphere that we need, man. And it gets very, like, I'm not trying to like sound like, oh, we live and die off of America, right? Because obviously there's a greater reality than just sports, right? But like, it's crazy to think, 5 years ago, like, is the last time or before this one was the last time we won league, and we've gone through so much, bro. Like, someone just asked you if you're a dad, bro. Like, think about it. You weren't even a dad during that time, bro.
Yeah.
You weren't even a dad during that time. Like, it's crazy. We went through a whole pandemic, like, I remember just being super depressed watching America games with no people there. Like, they would put screens all over the field or whatever, and it's like, it's crazy to think how, like I said, I'm not trying to like make it sound like we live off of this, because that's a greater reality. But like I said earlier, like every phase that I've lived in life, America has always been the key happiness to this. And I don't know if people relate. Maybe I'm weird for that, whatever, But point is, like, it's crazy, just everything we lived through those 5 years, and now it's like we won the title, and it's not like it's gonna end here, but it's still like crazy just to look back, like, bro, we've gone through so much as fans, and now we're here. We're celebrating a 14th title. We're celebrating I feel like we're celebrating whatever we lived through those 5 years, and we're finally there. You know, we finally crossed the ending. I don't know if I'm weird for that, but that's just how personally I feel. You know.
Yeah, no, like we finally got to that promised land, right? The most elusive title that there was, that 14th. And you're right, like you mentioned, right? It's not like we live and breathe or die because of this, but it's fairly close. I'll say that much. It's fairly close.
Yeah.
It's just how we are as Americanistas. You wear it on your sleeve. It's no other way to be about it. An Americanista is not a casual fan. It's not a person that, yeah, I watch a game sometimes here and there. A true Americanista is a player that is a fan that lives and breathes and dies in these moments, and it's for those 2 hours that the rest of the world is just shut off, and what matters is those 90 minutes on the pitch. And then right after that, reality comes in, kicks in. But in that moment is when you truly get to live and breathe who you are as an Americanista. So, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we've gone through a lot of ups and downs for everyone in life, and that's just the way it is. Some people that unfortunately aren't here to witness this, but hopefully, from above, they're up there and they're celebrating and they're having a good time just as much as all of us. So it's just the reality of it is, but like you mentioned, the most elusive title that we finally get, and now we get to celebrate it, and hopefully America doesn't make us wait another 5 years. But I think we're alluding to it already, that this team has the potential to build a dynasty and to go back to back and different titles. And look, Messi, I'm talking to you. That Leagues Cup is ours. All right, so just might as well start handing it over. Give it to Henry. All right. Give it to him.
You're the only person I know that cares about the Leagues Cup. I was going to say CONCACAF. I was like, yeah, you know what? That CONCACAF, because they're in it too. I'm like, well, nope, Leagues Cup.
The funny thing is because obviously the Leagues Cup just announced that when we're going to be playing again, right? Which is going to be July 20 something through August 20 something. And I just see a lot of people just quote retweeting that and being like upset, like no one cares about this, no one wants to see this, like no, like this and that, and all these negative takes, right? Like, and I'm just kind of like in the background, like I'm kind of the only one that's like, yeah, this is cool, I'm excited.
Just put it on the West Coast. That's all I ask. If you're gonna put it there, put it on the West Coast and not somewhere where there's no Mexicans.
The cool thing is that we have a bye. We don't have to play the group stage. So
that's true.
That's the only cool thing about this. But yeah, I mean, final whistle goes, Chris, and really honestly, the Richard goal is sensational. The Cabecita goal is just a cherry on top. And I mean, at that point, it's just, you knew what was coming. Final whistle blows. We're champions. Somebody lives to 14. Feels kind of like a dream come true, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, the whole day just didn't feel real to me. It just felt like a daydream. So I don't know. My dog was like super stressed out because, so when you say vámonos, he thinks it's like, oh, we're going for a walk. And there's so many times when you took the ball away, and I'll be like, vámonos, and then he'll just stare at me like, where are we going? I don't know, bro. This the whole thing was just very. And then I was watching it alone, so it gave me flashbacks of the Monterrey game. So I was like super stressed because of that. I was like, why does it feel like the Monterrey game? So I was just like, man, like, but like you said, man, it's a perfect day, and I mean, best way to end the year, man. You really can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, it truly felt like all Americanistas were getting that Christmas wish come true, which is great, absolutely amazing. But it's not to say that we didn't deserve this. It's not to say that this team did not go out and play during the regular season like true champions. And even though we'll sit here and we'll be testament to the fact that we've heavily criticized this team throughout this year. We heavily criticized Jardine, especially the way that we lost in the Leagues Cup, the way that we were tying games against Atlas, and the way that we were kind of drawing games and barely scrapping up 3 points against teams like Necaxa. So, I mean, absolutely. It feels like this team's earned it. Absolutely earned it. So, Midwestern Cholo saying, I'm sorry I'm late, guys, but did you guys take your shots at the beginning of the show?
Nope.
No, we forgot. We owe you guys shots. Well, no one said what kind of shots, but we'll owe you some sort of shots. But hey, I have my energetic drink right here, so
I got winded.
But glad you made it on Midwestern Cholo. Glad to see that you're on. Hopefully you're celebrating just as much as we all are. But yeah, Chris, I mean, what more could we add about this elusive 14th?
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess there's a lot that one wants to say, right? Because, like I said earlier, 5 years you went through. It feels longer because of the pandemic. I don't know if you guys feel the same because of that, but it just feels way longer. And it just, I just reminisced a lot of things, like you said too. You know, there's people here that are no longer with us, so it's kind of like emotional in that sense. You know, and it's just crazy, man. Like I said, you don't want there's greater reality, but it is like something. Like I said, no matter what phase I go through in life, it's always my happiness. It's always my comfort. It's always like, okay, Saturday. You know, I always tell this story. You know, like there was a time when my mom and dad wanted to be super religious. We'd go to church on Sundays, and that's when America would play on Sundays. And it was during the time where they were awful, bro. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember that. They were awful. They were just. I think it was the years where Indios de Juarez eliminated us from from entering Liguilla, not going like to Liguilla.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Inside Liguilla.
No, yeah,
I
remember those days.
It was horrible, bro. And I'd still throw a fit. We'd be going to church, and I'd be like, man, I want to go to church, man. Like, and we'd go, and it's like, oh, we're gonna go eat. And I'm like, oh no, drop me off. America's about to play at. I remember they play like at 2 for us, you know. And it's stuff like that, like phases that we went through, and it's just super crazy, you know, that 5 years ago, you know, or 4 years ago, we want to look at it from a Monterrey final, you know, who would have thought that we would have been living through all of this, you know? And like I said, you weren't even a dad last time, you know? I think Dylan was still in college, if I'm not mistaken, you know? It's
yeah. I mean, if you guys want to roll the years back, go listen to that podcast. We recapped after we beat Cruz Azul in the final. So as Christian, me and Dylan, it was different times, different, you know, things going on in everyone's life. But I mean, you're here now, and you know, you're ecstatic about how you get to see your team lift another trophy, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Absolutely beautiful. And well, I mean, what more could we add? Just amazing, great feeling. I'm not gonna lie to you, I shed a tear or two when I saw America lift the trophy. I was hugging my son, and it just felt like the most surreal moment, because you thought, we've worked so hard for this, we've gone through so much heartbreak, there was so much that we've done. And I'm looking at it from a perspective that us, as well as people who take the time out to kind of cover the team in English, the work we've put in to kind of, you know, put on a face podcast. I know we haven't been the most consistent. I know we haven't been the best. And I do apologize for that, but it takes a toll on you, because you kind of see this team from a different perspective, that, hey, you know, I analyze you week in and week out, and I do it in perspective of trying to bring a bigger picture to the audience, and to be able to tell them the truth of how things are, good or bad. And to be able to sit here and say, you know what, I covered it. I was able to be a part of it in some minuscule way. I wasn't there. We don't work for the team. Like, we do everything solely apart and aside, but it feels like we won in a sense as well, just because of all the hard work that we've put in. You know, you for being always to come on the podcast, AJ for always doing his best to tweet games live, Christian for the hard work he puts, Dylan, who does a lot of work for us even in the backstage, like whenever we do videos or stuff like that, like he's there. And trust me, you know, it's amazing, and it's great to be able to kind of soak it all up in that moment, see the team lift the trophy. Like, I knew the graphic was out already, I knew everything was going and exploding, and I was just like, you know what, this is an amazing, great feeling because you felt like finally, like the moment has come. It's such an elusive trophy, but at the same time, such a hard worked and hard earned moment for all of the Americanismo, and especially for us who, we do this on a week in, week out basis. For you guys, the listeners, for all of you guys listening to us, right? We do this in a way to kind of be there, share a moment with all of you guys, so we can continue to grow that community and showcase that America, it transcends not just borders but languages and everything in its way as well, because it doesn't matter if you speak Japanese, English, French, Portuguese. If you know what America is, you know the escudo, and you know what it means to be an Americanista, then that's all you need, honestly. So it's amazing. And well, Chris, we're gonna wrap it up here pretty shortly, but America's gonna be on tour now, going up against this small little team from Catalonia called FC Barcelona in 24 hours. You know what? This is a funny game, and it sucks we don't have the time to dive into it and really talk about it. But obviously, America coming into this one as champions of Mexico, going up against champions of Spain. Even though Barcelona is in a little bit of hot water with their financial situation and everything, but they have literally just finished playing a game, and now they have, with their full starters, with their full roster, have completely hopped on a plane and gone all the way to Dallas to play against America. And I believe you and AJ were talking about it back and forth in the group chat, saying that they, in some ways, were obligated to bring their stars, and I'm assuming play these stars in order to rack up some revenue. So that is huge. That is bonkers, Chris. Like, when have you ever heard of a team? This sounds very like
FIFA. What that means, all right? You know what that means, all right?
What does that mean?
Televisa's back.
There you go. Televisa's back. That's
Televisa's
right.
back.
Papi Escarraga is back at it. The check cleared. Barcelona's making the trip. They all got one carry-on baggage. They didn't even have to pack a whole luggage, and now they're on their way to Dallas.
They didn't even shower. They
probably did not.
The game. They just went straight to the
straight over there. They're like, we can shower when you get to the stadium. I mean, to the hotel. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So the game's gonna be tomorrow, guys. It's gonna be hopefully a fun spectacle for the players, at least, and for the fans that are gonna go over there, right? I'm pretty sure they're gonna parade the trophy around at halftime or beforehand. Louis saying, stop disrespecting my second team. My apologies, Louis. My apologies. It was just a little jab that I saw and thought, why not? Let's take it. But yeah, look, I mean, whenever America does face against Barcelona, it tends to be a pretty good spectacle. I don't expect it to be the most high intense game from either side. I don't think any of these players are looking to play a high intensity game after playing a final, and Barcelona, after these players would have expected to be off already on Christmas break. But I think it's still going to be a decent spectacle. I mean, we'll see what happens. What's your prediction for tomorrow?
5-0 America.
5-0 America. Wow, because you are just
bro,
absolutely...
they're gonna be in how long is that flight? They just finished the game. They're gonna be cramping,
dude, that's like an
bro.
8-hour flight, dude. Exactly, that's like an 8-hour flight. Wow.
They gotta be cramping, bro. I know it's not Volaris type flight, but either way, like
how mad? If you're Lewandowski, how mad are you? That you have to you played out a game against Girona, and was it Girona? I can't remember who they played against, but whoever they played up against, and now you have to go fly miles and miles across the Atlantic, land down in Dallas, and play against America, play against the best team in the world that they just won a championship, and now you have to go and try to take down that Goliath. Just seems like it's just an impossible task, if you ask me. So. We'll see.
I mean,
we'll see what happens. 5-0.
I think Gavi said something about it.
Oh, really? Well, Xavi came out and said, he gave us kind of a little backhanded congratulations, right? I don't think he's too happy about the situation.
No, Gavi.
Gavi? Oh, I didn't hear his words, but I heard Xavi's. Xavi's, the manager. Yeah. I heard him saying kind of, oh, congratulations, Jonah played there, which I he does
He's
know
just
Jonah,
mad
right? Because of
Hidalgo's
his time.
better. Yeah, oh yeah, he shot him out. He's just mad if Hidalgo's better than him.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But he kind of said it in his own words, saying, you know what, we know the situation that the club is in and what we need to do, and this is one of those things. And so, I mean,
like I said, Televisa's back.
yeah. I've never seen a club this desperate for money. Like, honest to God, I've never seen, like, I haven't never even seen a lower team just as desperate. Louis, I promise you, I'm not trying to take a dig. I promise you, I'm absolutely blown away with what Barcelona has done to try to, get some revenue again. Selling grass, selling seats, like, and you see the prices that they're going for. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, them doing that or the person who buys it. Like, honestly, just.
I don't know,
honestly.
bro.
But look, I'm not here to debate or discuss or take a jab at Barcelona. Look, I'm excited for this game. It should be an interesting one. It should be a fun one. We'll cover it as much as we can, of course, as best as we always do over on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow us. I know AJ's going to be doing his best with the GIFs. I'll try to live tweet as much as I can as well. We'll get some graphics going. It should be fun. Should be absolutely amazing. And hopefully, it's just a little fun way for America to parade the trophy and to get themselves going. So, my prediction, Chris, I'm going 2-1. I don't think it's gonna be 5 for America. Don't get me wrong. I would love it if it was.
I'm exaggerating. It's just, I don't know. Are we really that high in the clouds that we can't score against a cramped up Barcelona? I mean, I don't know, but
no, I'm sure I'm sure we can win. I'm sure we can.
I saw the call-ups and I'm just like, well, where's Vito? Where's all these other youngsters? None of them went. So I'm just like, okay, we.
Like they had, like yes, they like if you guys do not believe us, go over on Twitter right now and go look at Barcelona. They announced the roster that they're bringing to the game against America. The minimum, I think they have like maybe 5 youngsters on there, and that might be exaggerating. So
I mean, it has like
it's
2.
like, yeah,
I mean, it has
like,
2, and it's Lara and Ramon Juarez.
Yeah. So
and Naveda too.
And Naveda, that's why I was gonna say something Naveda. So look, it's an interesting one. I've never seen anything like this. I'm excited to watch it tomorrow. That game's gonna be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. So make sure you guys set your clocks. And like I mentioned, we're gonna get you guys all caught up and ready for that game tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune over on Twitter at Eagle Eye Podcast. And should be a fun one. We'll see. Louis saying, for real, they probably just want to go home, not Dallas. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure they're not excited. I'm pretty sure they've already voiced themselves in that sense. But, well, all right, that does it for us here. Celebration is officially over, Chris, as the moment we log back on next year to talk about America, it is nothing but the 15th and the CONCACAF Champions League in our sights. The 14th is officially done and dusted. We have celebrated, we have, cried, we have laughed, we have just exhaled in joy. But we leave that behind us, and because America is America, and it always demands for nothing but greatness and continued glory, we leave this behind, and we look forward to the next one, which is the 15th, and so on and so forth. So thank you again so much for coming on. Any last words? We kind of wrap it up here.
Just everyone have a safe holiday, and just, take care of yourself and be ready for what's coming for the next year. Like I said earlier, whenever America wins a league title, it doesn't stop there. It always comes with other cups. And we have a lot of cups that we're going to be participating in. So, just let's be very optimistic, and just hopefully we have a very beautiful 2024.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much to you, Chris. Thank you so much to Louis, saying thank you guys. Midwestern Cholo, Ricardo, Christian, Fidel, Matthew Flores, who else is on here Hugo Sotelo. Absolutely everybody, thank you so much for coming on, listening to everyone listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever it is that you guys listen to us. Thank you so much for your immense support. Like Chris said, make sure you guys have a wonderful holiday. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll be back next year to talk all things Club America. The party's over, but I promise you guys, the next one's bound to happen soon. You guys take care, and as always, Arriba la America. Good night, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast. the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.